What if Naruto was born with the Sharingan, with the chakra of an Uzumaki and the legendary eyes of the Uchiha? Naruto had the potential to become one of the most powerful shinobi in history. In the original story, Naruto Uzumaki was born on the same night the Nine Tails attacked the Hidden Leaf. Although the attack changed the entire shinobi world, Naruto himself was an ordinary newborn. His destiny wasn't shaped by a bloodline. It was shaped by the burden of becoming the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. In this timeline, however, destiny changes before the attack even begins. As Kushina Uzumaki finally gives birth, relief fills the hidden chamber. After months of preparation and layers of security surrounding the Nine Tails seal, Minato Namikaze is finally able to hold his son. For a brief moment, the future looks peaceful. Then Naruto opens his eyes. Instead of the bright blue eyes of his father, or the soft violet eyes of his mother, the newborn stares back with crimson irises marked by the unmistakable pattern of the Sharingan. The room freezes. Every medical ninja present immediately recognizes the legendary dojutsu, but recognition only creates more questions. The Sharingan belongs to the Uchiha clan. Naruto is not an Uchiha. Even more impossible, the Sharingan is never supposed to exist at birth. Throughout history, it awakens only after powerful emotional trauma. A newborn should not possess it, and yet the eyes are unmistakably Sharingan, but something about them feels different. The crimson pattern is present, yet the chakra flowing through them is strangely quiet. There is none of the intense spiritual pressure described in every record of an awakened Sharingan. It's as though the eyes exist, but their true power is still asleep. Before anyone can investigate further, disaster strikes. The masked man launches his attack. Just as in the original story, Obito infiltrates Konoha's defenses, kidnaps the newborn Naruto, and forces Minato away from Kushina. His objective hasn't changed. He isn't interested in Naruto's eyes. He wants the Nine Tails. Moments later, Kurama is ripped from Kushina and unleashed upon the Hidden Leaf. The village erupts into chaos while shinobi fight desperately to protect civilians. Minato confronts the masked man. After discovering the weakness of his space-time ninjutsu, the fourth Hokage forces him to retreat, but victory comes at a terrible cost. Kurama still remains. With no other choice, Minato prepares the same sacrifice that saved Konoha. Using the dead demon-consuming seal, he divides the Nine Tails chakra in half, sealing one half within himself and the other inside his infant son. As the sealing reaches its final moments, Kurama lashes out with one final attack. Without hesitation, Minato and Kushina place themselves between the claw and their son. Mortally wounded, they spend their final moments not thinking about impossible dojutsu or ancient bloodlines, but about Naruto's future. Kushina hopes her son will find friends. She hopes he'll eat well. She hopes he'll grow into a kind man despite the burden he now carries. Minato looks into Naruto's crimson eyes one last time. He doesn't know why his son was born this way, but he believes Naruto will discover the answer someday. With that final hope, the fourth Hokage entrusts the future of the Hidden Leaf to the child in his arms. And the fourth Hokage passes away. The next morning, Konoha mourns its greatest tragedy. The fourth Hokage is dead. Hundreds of shinobi have fallen. The Nine Tails has been sealed. Life begins again. But inside the Hokage's office, another crisis quietly unfolds. Hiruzen Sarutobi personally examines the orphan child. Naruto's eyes have not changed. They haven't disappeared. They haven't awakened further. They remain exactly as they were the moment he was born. After secretly gathering Konoha's leading experts on bloodline limits, Hiruzen receives a conclusion that raises even more questions. Naruto undeniably possesses eyes identical to the Sharingan, yet they produce none of the chakra signatures expected of an active dojutsu. No record in Konoha's history explains such a phenomenon. Faced with an impossible mystery, Hiruzen makes a decision. The truth will never leave this room. If the great nations discover that the Nine Tails Jinchuriki also possesses an impossible dojutsu, Naruto's life will become even more dangerous than it already is. Every report, every examination, every witness, everything is classified. Officially, Naruto Uzumaki is simply the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Unofficially, he has become Konoha's greatest unsolved mystery. In the original story, Naruto grew up completely alone. The third Hokage made sure he had a place to live and enough to survive, but he couldn't give Naruto what the boy wanted most: a family. The villagers, burdened by the memories of the Nine-Tails attack, looked at Naruto with fear and resentment. Although Naruto never understood why, he learned from an early age that people preferred to avoid him. That truth doesn't change, but in this timeline, their eyes lingered just a little longer. Hiruzen had buried every report about Naruto's mysterious eyes. Only a handful of trusted shinobi knew the truth, but secrets have a way of leaking. No official documents escaped the Hokage's office. Instead, rumors did. Some whispered that the fourth Hokage's son had been cursed at birth. Others claimed the Nine-Tails had transformed the child before he was even born. Each retelling grew more unbelievable than the last, until no one knew what was true anymore. They only knew one thing: Naruto Uzumaki was different. Naruto noticed the stares long before he understood them. Whenever he walked through the market, conversations seemed to stop for a moment. Adults looked away as soon as he met their eyes. Parents quietly pulled their children closer. No one ever explained why. To Naruto, it was simply how the world worked. Like every child, he eventually stood in front of a mirror and wondered why people always looked at him that way. Messy blonde hair, 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek, bright crimson eyes. Nothing looked strange to him. Those were the only eyes he'd ever known. Whenever that question became too heavy to ignore, Naruto visited the one person who never looked away: the third Hokage. Hiruzen always found time for the boy, even if only for a few quiet minutes between mountains of paperwork. One afternoon, while sharing a simple bowl of ramen, Naruto finally worked up the courage to ask what had been bothering him for years. Whether his eyes were strange. For just a second, Hiruzen stopped eating. Not because he didn't have an answer, because he had too many. He could tell Naruto about bloodlines, about classified reports, about impossible mysteries buried deeper than almost anyone in the village knew. Instead, he chose the truth a child actually needed. He told Naruto that his eyes were simply rare, that people stared only because they had never seen eyes quite like his before, and that what mattered wasn't the eyes someone was born with, but the person who chose how to use them. Naruto smiled. Not a big smile, just enough. For him, that answer was enough. If the old man wasn't afraid of his eyes, maybe one day nobody else would be either. A few years later, Naruto entered the Ninja Academy. In the original story, he quickly earned a reputation as the loudest student in class, and that reputation remained. He interrupted lessons, pulled childish pranks, skipped homework. Anything that earned even a few seconds of attention felt better than being ignored. Most teachers saw a troublemaker. Iruka Umino saw something more. At first, Iruka thought Naruto simply learned differently. During taijutsu demonstrations, Naruto often struggled on his first attempt. But after watching the same movement several times, his body began correcting itself. His stance improved, his balance settled, and his timing grew noticeably cleaner. Not perfect, just unusually fast. The pattern repeated across shuriken throwing, evasive drills, and hand seal exercises. Whenever Naruto could observe something repeatedly, he improved much faster than his written scores suggested. Iruka couldn't explain it, but he quietly noted that Naruto seemed to learn best with his eyes. Neither of them realized just how true that observation really was. Across the classroom, another pair of eyes had started paying attention: Sasuke Uchiha. At first, Naruto was nothing more than the class clown. Loud, annoying, desperate for attention, hardly worth noticing. But every now and then, Sasuke caught himself staring at Naruto's crimson eyes. They looked like the Sharingan. Not exactly, not completely, but close enough to make him uncomfortable. His father had taught him about the pride of the Uchiha, about their legendary dojutsu, about the bloodline that belonged to their clan alone. So why did the dead last of the academy have eyes that looked so familiar? Sasuke never asked. He simply watched. The more he observed Naruto during practical lessons, the less certain he became. But he kept his suspicion to himself. For now, in the original story, Naruto reached the end of the academy as the class's dead last. Despite improving over the years, he failed the graduation exam because he couldn't perform the basic clone jutsu. Frustrated and desperate to prove himself, he became the perfect target for Mizuki's deception. That much still happens, but what Naruto discovers that night changes the course of his life forever. Graduation day finally arrived. One by one, the academy students stepped forward to perform the clone jutsu. Sakura passed, Shikamaru passed, Kiba passed. Then it was Naruto's turn. Taking a deep breath, he formed the hand seal exactly as Iruka had taught him. But when the smoke cleared, only a single pale, lifeless clone lay beside him. The classroom fell silent. Naruto stared at it, then lowered his head. He already knew he had failed once again. Iruka looked away. It wasn't because Naruto lacked effort, quite the opposite. Over the past several years, Naruto had improved more than almost anyone else in practical training. His taijutsu had become respectable. His aim with shuriken had steadily improved, and even his reaction speed often surprised the instructors. But none of that mattered today. The graduation exam tested one specific technique, and Naruto's greatest weakness had always been chakra control. No matter how hard he trained, his enormous chakra reserves made delicate techniques frustratingly difficult. Outside the academy, Naruto sat alone on the familiar swing. Students celebrated with their families. Parents congratulated their children. Laughter echoed through the courtyard. Naruto simply watched, trying not to let it bother him. Mizuki approached and offered his condolences, telling Naruto he'd heard what happened. Naruto forced a grin and said he'd pass next year, but Mizuki suggested there might be another way. He mentioned a secret scroll the Hokage kept, one that held advanced techniques, and hinted that if Naruto could learn just one, even Iruka couldn't deny his graduation. Naruto's eyes lit up at the thought of still having a chance, and Mizuki told him to meet in the forest that night. As the sun disappeared beyond the village walls, Naruto carried the scroll of seals deep into the forest. His heart pounded with excitement. This was it, his chance to finally become a ninja. He carefully unrolled the massive scroll. The pages stretched farther than he expected. Forbidden techniques, advanced chakra theory, detailed diagrams, complex hand seals. It was overwhelming, and Naruto had no idea where to even begin. His gaze wandered across the countless entries until one technique caught his attention: multi-shadow clone jutsu. Unlike the ordinary clone jutsu, this forbidden technique relied on creating real physical clones by dividing the user's chakra into multiple bodies. For most ninja, it was considered suicidal. One mistake could leave the user completely exhausted, or worse. But Naruto realized this jutsu didn't punish him for having too much chakra. For once, a technique was asking him to let go instead of holding back. He began practicing. The first attempt failed. The second scattered chakra in every direction. The third nearly knocked him off his feet, but something strange began happening. Each failure became easier to understand. Naruto wasn't suddenly smarter. He simply started noticing tiny mistakes he'd never seen before. His fingers were slightly out of position. His chakra surged too early. His breathing broke his rhythm. Small, invisible errors. Errors he somehow recognized. He adjusted, tried again, adjusted again, and each attempt became cleaner than the last. Without realizing it, the dormant Sharingan was beginning to synchronize with his chakra. Not through hatred, not through grief, but through relentless determination to understand. Hours passed. Naruto wiped the sweat from his forehead and steadied himself for one more attempt. He formed the hand seals. His breathing slowed. Everything around him seemed strangely quiet. The diagrams he'd studied, the mistakes he'd corrected, the rhythm of his own chakra. For the first time, everything connected. A deafening explosion of smoke erupted through the forest. When it cleared, hundreds of Narutos stood among the trees. Every clone solid, every clone real. Naruto looked around in stunned silence, disbelief giving way to a wide grin spreading across every face. For the first time in his life, he had discovered a technique that matched who he truly was. Applause echoed through the forest. Iruka stepped into the clearing, relief washing across his face at having finally found him. Before another word could pass between them, a giant shuriken tore through the air. Iruka shoved Naruto aside, and the blade slammed into his back. High above them, Mizuki stood on a tree branch, his smile now gone. Mizuki revealed the truth he'd been hiding, that the Nine Tails, the very monster that had destroyed the village, was sealed inside Naruto, and that this was the real reason everyone had always hated him. The words hit harder than any punch. The stares, the whispers, the loneliness. It suddenly made sense. Naruto couldn't speak, couldn't move. Everything he believed about his life shattered in an instant. Iruka slowly stood despite his injury and looked directly at Naruto. He made it clear that none of that mattered to him, that whatever was sealed inside Naruto changed nothing, because to him, Naruto was simply his student, his precious student. Naruto's eyes widened. For years, he had searched for someone to acknowledge him. Now, someone finally had. Rage, gratitude, confusion, determination. Every emotion collided at once. Deep within Naruto, something shifted. For a brief moment, the crimson in his eyes shimmered, not into a new Tomoe, not into a dramatic transformation, just enough to suggest that the impossible dojutsu had taken its first true step toward awakening. Naruto looked at Mizuki, then at the hundreds of shadow clones surrounding him. Clenching his fists, he declared himself Naruto Uzumaki, and vowed that he would become Hokage. The forest erupted as hundreds of clones charged forward. As dawn broke over the hidden leaf, Naruto finally wore the forehead protector he had dreamed of earning. He had graduated from the academy. He had learned the truth about the Nine Tails. And somewhere deep within him, the impossible eyes he had carried since birth had finally begun to awaken. But Naruto still didn't know what those eyes truly were. The answer to that mystery was about to land on the desk of the man known across the shinobi world as the copy ninja, Kakashi Hatake. If Naruto truly possesses the Sharingan, what will the copy ninja think when he finally meets him? If you'd like to see part 2, let me know and we'll continue the story.